We're back with Football in Focus at the Kickback Jacks on Battleground Avenue. Got Coach Doug Robertson with us from Eastern Guilford. Coach, good to see you again, and it's been a good season for you, and looking forward to tomorrow night's game. Big game. You're going up against D.H. Conley coming in. A lot of excitement about that game. First of all, take us back to last week. You got that win against Durham Hillside. How were you able to get that good scheme together to help stop their quarterback, Randy Trice Jr.? How did that happen last week?
They were a physical, big football team. We know we had that coming in. We had to be physical and stop their running game first and force them to throw on throwing downs, and we're able to do that with a good defensive game plan. Coach Martis, our defensive coordinator, and our defensive staff, Coach Shepard, Coach Goss, Coach Stanley, really work hard at putting a plan to take away what they do best, which was their physical run game. And they did a nice job, which limited their rushing yards, which made them throw the football on predictable downs, and our pass rush was important getting after them then.
How about you look at Trice Jr. in that game last week? Against Dudley, we saw him against Dudley, didn't have as much success as your defense did against him. It seemed like in the Dudley game, he was a little more mobile, able to move around, able to kind of pick and choose against that Dudley defense, kind of find his spots. How did you limit him from those little continuation of the play type? It seemed like he would come down the line, he's generally stopped, just drop a ball over the top of the defense, just make all kinds of crazy plays, but you limited all that to him.
I think that, a couple things there. I think our DBs did a nice job staying in coverage. I think that's important. Limiting his down the field option. And our defensive line is probably the most athletic around, so I think our athleticism, being a little smaller but being athletic, really gave him a hard time, and he just wasn't able to get away from our front.
Let's get to your quarterback before we get to this week's opponent, taking D.H. Conley on. Your quarterback, Dominique Graves. Talk about what kind of leader he's been for your team, not only last year and again this year. And he got good experience last year, splitting time with Barr last year, and this year he comes in, takes over. He's been pretty much the man the entire way. Talk about Graves and the way he's led this team.
Dominique's a great young man, character. He's a leader on and off the field. He's a leader in the school building. He makes good grades, so he's got a bright future ahead of him outside of football. So we're real proud of him. But on the field, he's just a coach on the field. He's been in our offense really 3 years, so he knows it very well. And kids look up to him. Plus, he's a fierce competitor. He runs the ball hard. He will run over if you get in the way, so he's a physical runner to be tall and lanky as he is. So I can't really say enough good things about him, and he's just a great teammate and a great young man to coach.
Yeah, you talked about his passing game. His running game's almost equally as impressive as what he does when he throws the ball. The way he runs, he just kind of gets it down the field. And he's probably, he's got a ton of touchdowns running the ball, maybe more running than he has passing this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the exact stats, but I think he's threw for 1,500 and rushed for 800 or 900 yards. So that's impressive for a quarterback. We run our quarterback a lot, obviously, but he does a really good job of those quarterback runs and running physically behind a good offensive line that works very hard too. So we're real happy. We were glad he's on our side for sure. We wouldn't trade him for anybody.
I tell you what, he's gone almost the entire way for you, but there have been some games you've got such a good lead. He's maybe sat down part of the end of the game. Who's come in and been his backup this year? Who you kind of prepping to come along to take his place when he finally does have to finish up?
Yeah, we got actually right now, and we got 4 quarterbacks, but Kalen Christian and Tyler Lyles are the backups to him, and they've gotten the reps coming in at the end of the game. We've been fortunate to get some leads, like you said, in conference, and got Kalen Christian and Tyler Lyles some reps. So, and some of those, they both play receiver as well. And then we got 2 young guys coming along that are freshmen who will be sophomore next year, Jalen Brown and Kamel Smith, who were on the conference championship JV team that we just had. So we're excited about our future of our quarterbacks.
Let's get to that kid from the opponent this week, D.H. Conley, Holton Ahlers. Ahlers coming in, got close to 4,000 yards total, got around 71 touchdowns, combined the passing, what he's done running. Talk about the scheme to slow him down tomorrow night, work to stop him, but slow him down, and first of all, slow him down, then you try to stop him the rest of the way.
Well, number one, he's a great player. He's going to make plays. He puts the ball where it needs to be put. His receivers catch the ball well. He's in front of a great offensive line that does a good job pass protecting for him. But what we're going to try to do is limit the big plays. What we've seen on film is they get a lot of big plays and do not have to drive the field. So defensively, we're going to make tackles, hopefully keep them in front of us, make tackles and make them drive the field. And obviously, the best pass defense has always been a pass rush. So we're going to continue that 4-man pass rush that you saw last week against Hillside.
And you've had a good effort by your defense this year, although you lost lost some defensive players from last year's team. Lost Howard, Artis, Barr, a few other guys, though, Gouda, Golston, Sproul, and also Dennis Brooks, who's back from last year's team. Yeah. Those guys, I looked at those numbers for Gouda, Golston, Sproul. They put up some very good numbers this year.
Yeah, they have. Alex came to us from Graham as transfer, and he's really stepped up. He's gotten better every game. Justin Sproul playing tough at defensive line. Chris Golston and Krishan Golston at linebacker and DB have been great additions to Krishan being a starter last year, but Chris being an addition. Eliza Oaks, who's a transfer in, has stepped up and played great minutes for us and one of our better defensive players. And then Josh Hayward's kind of the unsung hero at defensive end, really does a good job pass rushing and things of that nature. So we're really happy with our total defense, and Nick Shealy's leading the state, I think, in interceptions.
He's doing great defensively. We always think about him as a receiver because he comes to big plays with his hands on offense, but his defense has been even bigger this year than his offense. That's a good thing for you because that kind of allows you to give him a chance to do some things over the other end of the ball. If things aren't going outstanding on offense, he makes up for this defense.
He does. He's he's one of our better all-around players. I think both sides of the ball, he doesn't miss a beat. Like I said, he has 9 interceptions. I think that leads the state, if not as close. And Cameron Myers does a good job. But Nick, we're glad we got Nick. Nick does a heck of a job and works very hard on both sides of the ball and takes pride in what he does. So I'm very happy for him.
And you think about this, kind of got my attention last week. You had that big play on defense where Kendall Graves, 300-pounder, ran a guy down and saved a touchdown last week.
Yeah, it was actually after interception. We threw an interception late in the half. He's playing tackle, comes across the field, and knocks the guy out of bounds who would have scored. So that was a big play in the game. We ended up stopping Hillside. So we always talk about doing the little things and make them play the next play. And Kendall gave us an opportunity to play, and our defense stopped him.
Has he been able to go every game this year, or has he missed some games?
No, Kendall, yeah. Our offensive line has pretty much stayed intact. Our starting 5 is Eric Walker and Kendall Graves as their tackles, and Wesley Alderman and Terrell Owens at guard, and Braxton Henderson's came in and did a nice job at center. So those 5 have really worked well together and developed some continuity together, which is all important in the offensive line.
Now, how have you been able to pull this off? It's not easy, even at the 3A level, since you're a bigger school than 2A and 1A. How have you been able to find a way to get guys pretty much, I got an offensive line, I got a defensive line, and you don't cross over much? How have you been able to pull that off?
That's developed over time. When I first got to Eastern, we had to play a lot of guys both ways. That's kind of went down. I think Nick now plays both ways full time. And other than Nick, we don't play a ton of guys both ways every play. Now, some of those guys are going to play in special packages, but not every play. So we've been able to, over time, develop some depth and get more guys reps, and that's helped us certainly in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, you talked about special packages. We talked about the scheme to work on Holton Ahlers, trying to slow him down, so I'm trying to stop him as much as you can. Is there also a way you look at it, too, where, we've got some special packages designed just to try to, for D.H. Conley?
Yeah, you got to have, I think you got to be multiple on defense. You got to have some times where in throwing situations that you can bring an extra DB in if you need to. But you have to get them in those situations. The thing they do a good job of is staying in front of the chain, not behind the chain. So it's really hard to predict because they do still run the football. So it's kind of a guessing game sometimes when they're going to run it because they throw so much. So that makes their running game effective. And so that's, you can't just discount the run. They have a 700-800-yard rusher in the backfield, as well as him running the football, who runs the ball really well. So they're really a tough team to defend on a couple of different fronts.
And you think about it, they got that one receiver. I think it's C.J. Johnson. He's got about 1,300 yards receiving. He's got 27 touchdowns. I mean, any position, 27 touchdowns, a lot of touchdowns. But for a receiver, that gets your attention right quick.
It does. He's an elite guy. He's a Division I type guy. We certainly have to have eyes on him, but at the same time, similar to what I just said, you get eyes on him and other guys are good enough to beat you. So you really have to just be solid all around on defense, from your defensive line all the way to your secondary, and that's the only way you're going to stop a team as potent as offense as they have.
Got Doug Robertson with us, Eastern Guilford head football coach. They're playing D.H. Conley tomorrow night. 3AA playoffs, round 2. And you think about this game tomorrow night, we talked about the defense. That's kind of been your calling card the past couple of years. And you look at the 2 games you lost this year. That was 19-16 to Page, 14-11 to Smith. You've lost 2 games by a total of 6 points. I think that says a lot about your defense, too.
Yeah,
the most points you probably gave up was probably at 19, I guess.
19 to Page was our most. And at the end of the day, that's what we look at. We do give up some yards sometimes, but we try to keep them out of the end zone and limit points. And I think at the end of the day, that's what you really really concerned with. And for the most part, our defense has done that and hit a rut there, but we still played solid defense during those games. But our offense kind of let us down a little bit. But now our offense has really gotten better since then. We've changed a few things, simplified some things. I think it's really helped us.
What about your running back position? Christian McMullen comes back. Once he rejoins the team, it kind of energizes the team, gives you guys that extra gear, extra boost, and he's taken full advantage of the opportunities too and made you a better team.
He has. Christian's very talented. Has also started to play more defensive reps as the playoffs have gone along. So Christian, at running back, adds a physical mentality to the running back position. He runs inside the tackles physically, and when he's able to do that, really makes our offense go to the next level. With Dominique being a runner and him right beside him, people really can't key on one of those guys. So Christian's really done a nice job of getting better every week, and he's starting to get healthy. He's fully healthy now off a little bit of tweak of his knee. So that's been a big change for us.
Now, personnel-wise, how's the team different this year than last year? Last year, a little different dynamic about that team. Maybe not as tall and size-wise, height-wise, but maybe a little bit more quicker, faster, the quick muscle twitch type guys last year.
Yeah, it was, with offensively, we had Barr was a big play guy. Finnerty was a big play guy. James Artis was a big play guy. I don't know that we have those guys necessarily now can take it to the house, but I think we have more balance with Zacchaeus Milton. We have Adam Akins, who's a sophomore that's came up. It's making big plays for us. We got Nick Steele, Krishan Goldston, who's now playing some offense, Christian McMullen, Dominique. You got Justin Matthews. We have a freshman running back now that's getting some reps.
So you may be using numbers-wise, you get more guys involved this year.
So I think it's a lot less, a lot more balance, and a lot more people can hurt you across the field this year, which I think if you look at our point averages, I'm sure we may even be averaging more points this year. So just a different way to do it. I think we're more of a plot our way down the field more than we are the big play this year, but it seems we're still not turning it over. That's the commonplace, which we want to continue to do, and that's led to our success as well, not turning it over.
How have these teams defended so far Graves this year? How have they gone about trying to defend Dominique in the way he's played? So far, he's been able to have success. So he's done his job. But as far as the defense is coming out, how have they been playing him this year?
I think they try to take it away, but the thing of a quarterback run, I think, with being a running back almost, it's hard to account for that. So people have tried to load the box on us, play a lot of man coverage, and fortunately Dominique is a good enough thrower to beat you in that regard. So when you try to take his run away, he's able to throw it to our receivers. Then you turn around and try to spread it out a little bit, then he hurts you inside run. So people have tried a lot of different things. And then if you try to take him away, then we have Christian McMullen. So we've had some people trying to do those type things, but at the same time, he's a good enough player to make you pay in other facets.
Give me the old coach-quarterback relationship. What's that like between you and Graves as far as you guys communicating, talking, staying in contact throughout the games and working together as you go through this season?
We have a good relationship. We talk all the time, speak, and I coach offensive line as a position, so we kind of work together all the time, him and the offensive line. So me and Dominique have a good relationship. He knows I'm going to get on him if he's wrong, and he knows I want to try to make him better to get him to the next level of being a quarterback. And he receives that well and is very coachable and knows that what I get on him is trying to make his best interest is at heart. So, and he doesn't take that stuff personally, and he tries to get better from that. So we have a great relationship.
Seems like he's pretty coachable too. He's able to let you coach him up and make him become a better player, and he's ready to soak it in and absorb it. Some kids, you can tell when you tell them sometimes over a period they feel they just kind of look the other way. I got this already on my own, but he seems like he wants to keep taking it in, and you can notice that by his games. I mean, just watching how his games have developed this year, those 3 touchdown games, those have almost become commonplace this year.
He has, and that attribute to his coachability. Because if you look at him progressing from his sophomore year, he's gotten better every year, and it's through his hard work and being able to take criticism and getting better and learning from that.
You look at it as the way it went last year, he and Barr playing together, that might have been a very good thing for Dominique last year, not to have to take the whole thing himself, but to work at the same time and share that quarterback position and get all the experience last year and step in this year, take it over. This is his team, and he knows he worked his way up to get where he is today.
Yeah, I think he handled that well last year. I think we used that 2-quarterback system to our advantage. But this year, being the only guy pretty much, he's also handled that well. So, and we've been able to keep him healthy, try to limit his carries a little bit until late in the season now where we got it's make it or break it time. So, continuing on in the playoffs, starting with tomorrow night, we're going to need him to play big for us.
You look at those receivers again, Cheeley and Milton and Akins, what those guys have done. I saw that Grimsley game up close and personal back in September, and you guys took control early, but that's about the time. Looked like Akins and even to some degree Milton, and I know Cheeley was already involved. Those guys started to get more involved. Those three guys working together, hauling the load out there at wide receiver.
Yeah, again, it gives us some balance. Justin Matthews really does a good job.
He's a good athlete too, isn't he?
Receiver, yep. And when we have Adam and Justin Matthews inside with Zacchaeus and Nick outside, really gives us 4 guys across that can score at any time. And all of them have good hands, run good routes, and certainly they've helped Dominique be a better player when you have good receivers like
These
that.
guys are all kind of coexisting well together since they kind of came along together, grew up together. They play football together, basketball together. Look at that basketball team. You mentioned Matthews and Cheeley, Dominique Graves, and on you go. All those kids play together almost year round.
Yeah, they do, and then I think that our football
That's a good
success.
thing, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a good thing. We encourage multi-sport participation at Eastern, so I do think that our success in football last year helped with success in basketball, and then our success in basketball has carried over now to football again this year. So I think those work hand in hand.
Yeah, once you get those guys to a winning level, they don't want anything but win it, and they want to exceed what they've done before. And you guys, both teams got that close. Both teams made it to the finals last year. They were just inches away from winning the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. That's good. It's good for our school. It's good for our community, and those kids have a lot to be proud of, and our coaches and our teachers and staff and everybody at Eastern.
A lot of contrast in the size of the Graves brothers, isn't there?
Yeah, I get that question all the time when I say they're twins. They are twins, and I get that look like, golly. But, yeah, they're a lot of similarities, though, if you talk to them.
Yeah. And in some ways, you they probably respect each other, too, and probably Dominique's probably glad to have his brother up front helping him out there.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, it's pretty neat dynamic. He's left-handed, and he plays right tackle, so he's his backside protection. So it's just it's pretty neat, really.
And you look at Colin Smith, your kicker. I think he's on the season like 48 out of 50 PATs. He's hit 7 of 11 on field goals, and he's had some big kicks, some big punts, some big kickoffs. You couldn't ask for a better guy to have in charge of your kicking department there.
Colin, man, he's a weapon. He's overlooked sometimes to the general observer, but for us as coaches, he's a big part of what we do. Starting with kickoffs, he puts a lot of those in the end zone. If they're not in the end zone, they're inside the 5-yard line, and we're able to pin people deep, which is really a defensive play for us. And then his punting is also elite. He averages 38 yards a punt, and a lot of those are inside the 20. So he's averaging 38 with even putting them inside the 20 like that. And keeping those guys on a long field all the time, and then his field goals and extra points are just icing on the cake. He's pretty much automatic there, and we're just glad we got him. He's a big weapon, and tomorrow night could very well come down to that.
And he's been there before. That Page game was almost like a chess match, the way that game went back and forth.
Yeah.
I mean, you had one play where you got to do a down over and got closer for him, give him a little bit more better field position to kick that ball. But it's been like a chess match in that Page game. Look at Page; they're 4AA, ranked 4th in the state in the playoffs, and you guys were 3 points within them, and you were driving for either the game time field goal headed to overtime.
Right. We feel good about putting him in. At any time, we think from anywhere from 50 yards in, he's got a good chance to make it. And if it's a situation where we need him, we're going to use him.
We talked about this a little bit before. Are some other teams that you saw last year in the playoffs this year, or like you also mentioned, quite a few 4A teams have dropped down, and that's among the teams left still here battling right now?
Yeah, it's kind of all, Hillside being a 4A team last week, and now Conley being a 4A team. And if you look at the rest of the bracket, you got, New Hanover, you have Dudley, you have Cape Fear. All those teams were 4A teams last year coming down, and the way the state did the new, the split classifications now 20, 30, 30, 20, has really, and us staying 3AA has really put us in a bracket with those teams, which other than numbers really doesn't mean a whole lot. You still play 11-on-11 football, and that's really what it's about.
You're playing D.H. Conley, you're playing last week you got the win, you're playing whoever when they come out there each week.
Yeah, last year we played Western Alamance, Jacksonville, Weddington. I don't know that anybody can say they're a lot better than those teams.
Absolutely.
So they're, whether you're in 3A, 3AA, 2AA, 2A, 4A, 4AA, 1As. I mean, if you got to ride 11, you can beat anybody. And
you kind of look back at all that like it is now, too. We talked about it also prior to going live here tonight from Kickback Jacks on Battleground, Football in Focus for a Thursday. Coach Doug Robertson, Eastern Guilford High School, playing D.H. Conley tomorrow night. We were talking about the fact that things could come together. We always can't help but speculate a little bit. If somehow, some way, you could get maybe the team from Cleveland going to Clayton, if they could beat Clayton, and Cleveland just got their quarterback back. He was not there when they played the first time. That's a possibility. Look at that game with Cape Fear at Lee County. Cape Fear just got their quarterback back. He's almost like Ehlers from D.H. Conley. Things could come together. Who knows? Crazier things would happen. We could see Dudley and Eastern Guilford somewhere down the road. We can't look that far ahead, but it would be kind of interesting to see something like that come together. Yeah, it'd be great for our county, great for our city. And we'll take them one at a time. If that ends up having to be, obviously the advantage there is we would, being a higher seed, would have a home game, so we would welcome that, obviously, to play in front of our home crowd in the semis. But we got our hands full definitely tomorrow night before we can look ahead to anything. Well, let's look at this right now one more time before we go to tomorrow night. Ehlers, the quarterback from D.H. Conley. Again, how do you check him? How do you try to slow him down? How do you try to eventually stop him? I think you got to make good pass rush, mix your coverages, and try to give him a lot of different looks and try to confuse him, and also try to get him in, third and long, where they're predictable throwing, and get them in predictable passing downs or predictable downs period where we know what they're going to do. And you got the guys back with from last year's team. The confidence they bring back from last year, knowing that they got to the championship game, that's got to be a help for them this year too, knowing they went through 4 rounds last year, made it to the finals. It's big. We've mentioned that this week. We played in big games. We think our big game experience is going to be an advantage, but also let them know that that's not going to win it for them. That's only a part of what's going to help us win the football game. It's still going to come down to block and tackle, and that's what it's going to be about, and executing the game plan and playing good in the special teams and not turning the ball over. All those things still come to the forefront of why you're going to win or lose. It's a big process, isn't it, overall? It is. A lot of things have to come together, and I think both teams are going to have to bring their A game to win the football game. And you think about it, you want to get the perfect game as much as you can, but when you do have a slip or slide here or there, maybe a penalty you don't want to have, but you do get called for it, that's when the players in your team got to pick each other up. Yeah, we talk about all the time. We call it complementary football. You got to complement each other. Defense goes out and stop. The offense needs to drive and get at least field position, if not score. And then if the offense is not clicking, the defense has got to keep getting stops until we get it going. So, and then special teams working there on both sides. So we call it playing complementary football to each other, and that's what wins games. And you got the big game tomorrow night, 7:30 kickoff at Tommy Grayson Stadium. Hopefully, maybe Tommy Grayson could be there to watch you guys. Yeah, he usually comes out. If Coach Grayson usually is kind of away from everything. He likes to look at everything from afar. But that's just the kind of guy he is. But Coach Grayson is definitely a big supporter of us, and we appreciate his support. And you look at the craziness in this sport, too. Look at a guy like Scott Young, the coach of West Rowan, who passed away just yesterday, 45 years old, won 3 state, I don't know how he did it being that young, but 3 state championships by the age of 45. You hate to lose coaches like that, but that man definitely had a heart of gold, helped a lot of people, and they cut all the lights on down in Rowan County last night at 7:30. All the schools cut the football lights on, and you hate to lose one, but that man left a good legacy. He did. I was able to meet Coach Young when I was at Regional. We coached against each other. We played West Rowan in a 2-game series, and got to know him a little bit there and met him at clinics, and he really is a good guy. He's a big loss in our profession. Had a lot of respect for his teams and how they played, and his football knowledge. And from what I understand, he's a good family man, has kids, and certainly our prayers go out to their family and his wife and their kids. And another from Eastern Guilford, in the Guilford County area, we really send our heartfelt sympathies out to that family. Yeah, I think his oldest son may have played in a game for him last Friday night, and his youngest son played a youth football game, won a championship last Saturday morning. So, that guy, football through and through in that family, no doubt about it. Yeah, it's tough.
we spend so much time with these guys. They become our families. They're football families, and the coaching fraternity. We become a family, and at the end of the day, we're all proponents of football, the game of football. And if we want this game to go on like we want it to go on, with all the things against us right now, with concussion protocols and all the medical experts saying that football is a dangerous game, we really need to stick together and make sure we're doing what's best for the game and keeping our game alive. And so at the end of the day, we're all in this together. So.
And you think about Guilford College back when you played there back in the day. Anything that you took from Guilford College? I know several things you probably did, but one thing that maybe stands out, you took from college, coming out of there, from playing football there to now coaching, coming through the ranks?
Yeah, I think having the post, high school experience of playing 4 years at a college, and Coach Ketchum was my head coach, so he taught us a lot about life lessons, and sometimes in a way we really didn't like it at the time, but we're looking back on it, he really taught us some good lessons, and I learned, how to grow up and be a man, and that at a place like Guilford, you have to appreciate and love the game of football, because if you don't get the bells and whistles. We didn't get the stuff that the Division I, but when you play Division III football, so it really made you appreciate the game, and it really made you a student of the game. And I think that's one reason I became a coach.
And so many Guilford College graduates become coaches. It's crazy.
They're out there everywhere.
Oh,
and I was very prideful leaving there and knowing what I wanted to do. There was a lot of people just like me out there. So I took a lot of pride in that, and I also had a lot of resources to help me find places to go. So,
and you think about it, if you went through 4 years of practicing down in that bottom at Guilford College, that little field there, you come a long way.
Some good memories and some bad memories.
Well, it could be so humid down on a given day.
It is. It was different now. It's totally different over there now. They've put so much money and resources into their football program, which is a great thing. Their stadium is totally renovated. Their new turf field, and baseball's done a lot of things. All their sports they're taking a lot more pride in their athletics, and I'm proud, coming from there that they've done that, because it's a lot better than what we had when we were there.
And guys practice in the morning around 6 a.m. or 7. They get their morning practice done. They're done the rest of the day.
Yeah, I would have liked that. We didn't have that then. We practiced in the afternoon. I'm a morning person. Growing up on a farm, I always did things in the morning anyway. So I would have preferred that, but it wasn't the way it was. So we got class done and then practice. So
gotcha.
I guess there's advantage and disadvantage to both.
And coach, as you get set for tomorrow night, what's the thing you usually tell your players for your is there one ongoing theme that goes all year long right before you guys take the field each Friday night?
I always just reiterate that special teams are the biggest plays you play. We're going to play defense. We're going to take the ball away. Offensive, we're going to protect the ball, and we're going to play solid in the special teams, and we're trying to win all three phases. And that's kind of the last tips and reminders I always give them.
Who are the two you got with you tonight? You got your daughter and got your son?
Yeah, I got Tate Robertson. He's a sixth grader at Eastern Guilford Middle School, and he'll be playing football for the middle school next year. And then my daughter, Taylor Robertson, the sophomore, she plays tennis. She was on the playoff tennis team this year at Eastern, and she plays soccer, and she ran indoor track for me last year. So she's really involved, very proud of them and love them, and they help me manage in football, and they'll be on the sidelines tomorrow night. And that's special for a dad to be able to spend time that maybe some dads don't with their kids, and sometimes I don't get to spend. So my wife, Erin, who does everything at home and basically raises the kids when I'm not there, so she's not able to be there tonight, but I want to thank Erin for everything she does as a wife. So so many things go into this, and certainly the personal level sometimes gets kind of blocked out, so appreciate you doing that.
Hey, keep up the good work, Coach. Always good to see you.
Thank you.
I know the team is growing as you head toward the game tomorrow night. Keep up that growth spurt and keep winning and keep going on.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate y'all having it. Appreciate all you do for football.
You got it. Enjoy, Coach. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Doug Robertson with us from Kickback Jackson on Thursday. Got Joe Sarah for the News and Record coming in next. We'll get